welcome back to this channel. I'm the Spell Singer, and it's time for another Gamebook review of the Fighting Fantasy series. And this review is going to give you a look at this title and book number. I shall read the blurb, we'll check out the plot for this book, and then talk about some of the game mechanics and have a look at the adventure sheet. I shall run the artwork through this video as normal and then talk about some of my own likes and dislikes, some fun facts, any errors, and we'll do a summary and score out of 10 and finish on a shout out. So this is book 26. This is Crypt of the Sorcerer. This is written by Ian Livingstone. So we've got another Sir Ian Livingstone solo effort. And the book was published back in 1987. And the cover art here was by Les Edwards. So good old Les Edwards is back with another classic front cover, but the internal artwork was by a fellow by the name of John Sibbick. And this is very good. This really high quality artwork runs throughout this book, all the internal stuff, which I will run through this video so you can get an idea of what that looks like. But for now, let's read the blurb from my copy. So basically in this one it has here, an ancient evil is stirring. The long-dead sorcerer Razaak has been re-awoken and is poised to fulfil his dreams of death and tyranny. The forces of chaos are at large across Allansia, and it seems that they are all pitted against you. For it is up to you to battle against the odds, to find the only weapon to reach Razaak, his vulnerable, to arm yourself with protection against his awesome powers, and to face him in the lair, the Crypt of the Sorcerer. So there you go. A nice straightforward adventure. Well, so it seems anyway. The plot on this one is pretty straightforward, but it becomes a lot more as you progress through it. So like we were saying with the last couple of books, it seems like the authors are now looking to sort of make the stories a little more complex and less gift-wrapped. And plot tends to sort of evolve as you progress through the narrative, which is a good thing. Now in this one, Razaak, he's this evil necromancer, and he's been re-awoken after I think he's been entombed for about like 100 years or something, and he plans to send his army of undead warriors to take over Allansia. And the main objective for you, the reader, is to find his sword, which is the only weapon that can harm him, and then find and defeat him, basically. So you get two companions in this one as well, Bori and Sim, and they can be found along the path to help you with your adventure. Now, Chalice, it is told that I think it's near the Moonstone Hills, has suddenly gone permanently dark, and because basically someone has opened up this crypt of the Sorcerer. And hearing of this, you decide to investigate. The story begins with you meeting up with your old pal Yaztromo. So you'll remember Yaztromo from pretty much all of Sir Ian's books, maybe aside from Freeway Fighter. I don't think he's in that one, unless he's in the Interceptor's boot. So you meet up with your old pal Yazzie, and he tells you about Razaak and how he can only be defeated by his old sword. And this sword is now in the possession of Cull, who's a skeleton, and he's condemned to carry this sword on this lake until someone takes it from him. So that's kind of like the first part of the mission. And to make matters worse, the horn of a Gargantus is required, and that's used to pierce Razaak's heart, which will kill him forever. So already you can see the essential items building. So yeah, you set off on your quest, and you're on the way. You join up with your allies, like I mentioned, Sim and Bori. Sim is like a hunter, and Bori is like this dwarven inventor whose new invention, strangely enough, becomes part of your transport in this journey. But that's the plot. So it's one of these plots where you begin it and you think, I'll set off to do this, and then you return after getting that sword, and the adventure suddenly opens up a bit. Right, let's chat about the game mechanics and take a look at the adventure sheet. So game mechanics, the basic game mechanics in this one don't really change that much from your average romp game book. I think the opening paragraph sees the player or you with healing potions that are given to you by Yaztromo, and you get 5 doses of these healing potions, which can be restored a bit later on when you return to Yaztromo's tree with the sword, hopefully. And yeah, no equipment is given. So there's no equipment at all. So it's assumed, since you start with no skill penalties, that you do actually have a sword and leather armor, you know, the whole thing, and your backpack. But it doesn't actually mention it at any point. So Livingston he's taken a leaf out of Jackson's book, using lots of numerical clues in this adventure that are linked to sort of essential items, like secret number prompts and puzzle solving. So for example, you might find an item that has a number written on it, or find a gravestone that has a date of birth or a date of death, and you kind of gotta make a note of these because they refer to references later on. So yeah, he's kind of taken a leaf out in Jackson's book, and he's gone for some puzzling and riddling rather than just lots of essential items, but he's got that too. Yeah, otherwise, the game mechanics are pretty straightforward, as is the adventure sheet. This adventure sheet has got a usual skill, stamina, and luck. And then where you put your equipment, usually you've got notes, which is good because there is a lot of note-taking in this adventure. You've also got your treasure there and your equipment. But otherwise, it is a straightforward adventure sheet. No changes. But what is different is the artwork. So we've got a colour map in this one on the inside front cover, and that was by Leo Hartus. And weirdly, it wasn't reproduced for the Wizard edition. I don't know why. Maybe it was a rights thing, but uniquely, Leo Hartus is given a credit on the title page for the map, as well as credit on the copyright page as well. So that's quite nice. So yeah, we've got a little map here to give you an idea of where everything is in this world. Les Edwards, like I say, did this cover. Really cool cover, very effective, lots of colourful tones, and Razaak is suitably hideous looking. And he's kind of got like this decrepit, all stretched, tight, leathery skin. Really nice looking. And the internal image of Razaak is slightly less sinister looking, I always found, which I'll run through the vid a bit later on, so you'll see him. But yeah, the rest of John Sibbick's art has lots of depth and captures that kind of fantasy theme really nicely. Really strong artwork from Sibbick. Again, Wizard's reissue cover manages to sort of generally keep to the original cover theme, although Razaak for me he's a bit more like, emaciated, the emaciated version of Sibbick's internal art version. But otherwise, it's all strong, really nice, and you'll get an idea of what it all looks like as this video goes on. My favourite picture is this wood demon here, and let me read the description that you get with this wood demon. As a kid, this used to freak me out because it's so, I don't know, it's gross. It's this really, really nasty thing you bump into in the woodland. It says here, as you ride slowly through the wood, you see the leaves of a bush move. Cannot convince yourself that it was ruffled by the wind. Draw your sword and turn your horse towards the bush. A hideous creature suddenly leaps out and stares at you through sunken eyes as dark as the earth itself. The creature is humanoid in shape, but with dark, crusty skin-like bark covered in moss and fungus and crawling with bloated insects. It has a lifeless expression on its crumpled face, and suddenly the wood demon's arms uncurl and extend like long vines to try and pull you from your horse. And that's where you do this skill roll to determine whether he gets his fungus-ridden hands on you. And with the picture, I always thought that sort of really well described imagery that you get from Ian, coupled with this picture, I thought really good combination, and yeah, it always unsettled me as a kid. Looking at that picture and reading that description of the wood demon. Yeah, so yeah, that's my fave. Right, let's chat a bit about my likes and dislikes. So this is one of the hardest, toughest fighting fantasy game books, in my opinion, and in a lot of other people's opinions. But since the victory path is so narrow, it kind of leaves very little room for error, and therefore making gameplay extremely unforgiving. There are many artifacts, lots of items, that must be collected in order to be successful. So for instance, part of the adventure involves fighting a rare creature known as the Gargantis, which is the bearer of that horn that I mentioned earlier on. So to get his horn, the only way you can defeat the Gargantis is by gaining the power of chameleonite camouflage a bit earlier on in the adventure, and also a certain crystal of protection. But in order to get the crystal in the first place, you must expose yourself to a deadly menace right at the start of the adventure as well, that can easily end the game very quickly when you do encounter it. You roll a die basically, and if the die roll is unlucky enough, then it's curtains. So you kind of have this knock-on effect where you've got to get an item. It's like a MacGuffin, isn't it? It's like that Star Wars film, that final Star Wars film, Part 9. It's like a MacGuffin. You get an item to get an item in order to get something else so that you can pick up something else. And yeah, very tough. Just another thing that kind of adds to the difficulty of this adventure. But not only that, there are other crucial dice rolls in this adventure, kind of scattered throughout the book. Then you have a lot of significant chance of getting an instant death as well, which has nothing to do with your skill, stamina, or luck scores. It's just a lot of them. Even if you have maximum scores in this adventure, the chances of surviving this journey are still deemed quite small. But yeah, this wouldn't be an Ian Livingstone book without lots of tough encounters and lots of items and instant deaths. However, I love the continuity, which is one of Ian Livingstone's strong points. Lots of familiar places to visit, like the Forest of Spiders. The Darkwood Forest is in there. You've got Stonebridge, you've got Silverton, and of course, the Astromo's treehouse. The adventure is very traditional with its forest trek, followed by open ground, then lots of towns, lots of plains, and then finally a dungeon crawl to reach Razaak's tomb. And then of course you've got this amazing hot air balloon ride. So remember I mentioned Bori the dwarf. He's like this inventor, and all his dwarf chums have got together and built this massive hot air balloon. And you can ride from Stonebridge. It's very original, great fun, and it does feel kind of epic to fly your way over Allansia. Okay, fun facts for this adventure book. The book has 2 working titles. So you've got Crypt of the Necromancer and the Howling Tunnels. Now, Crypt of the Necromancer I always thought would be a better, more appropriate name. Howling Tunnels, the only place I can think of in the book that refers to Howling Tunnels is this small dungeon crawl when you fight the Gargantus. And there's ghosts that howl in the tunnels there, but otherwise I didn't really sure where that was referring to. But Razaak, he's a necromancer, and he's referred to as such throughout this book. But apparently Puffin hated the idea of putting the word necromancer in a title for a kid's book. Not that any kid's going to know what on earth a necromancer is. Certainly in the 80s, I didn't have a clue. But yeah, Puffin know best. So the name is a bit misleading for me. It doesn't really reflect what you are meant to be ridding Allansia of. But life goes on, right? Okay, some errors that I picked up on this one. Nothing too bad. There's certainly no game breakers, and considering how complex this book is, that's a big credit to Sir Ian. But just a couple of small errors. The equipment list is missing. I don't know if that's an error or whether I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. There's always an equipment list, but there isn't in this book. So I think you just make that assumption that you are carrying your backpack, your sword, your leathers. And although there's a point where, although you need the crystal of sanity to protect yourself from the Gargantis, no option is used or given to use it when you encounter Razaak's Hellcat pet, which also has a mental attack. It doesn't mention it then. And it's also possible that the crystal powers, maybe they drained, I don't know, when you faced the Gargantis, and you can't use it again when you reach this Hellcat, but it's not clear. It's not really described, so I guess it's not important. And then there's a couple of typos that are interesting. Reference 115. You're told that there are these lava demons that metamorphose into these fire imps. Okay, so lava demon, fire imp. But in the next reference, or next sentence, I think even, they're described as lava imps. So it's like a combination of the two, but I'm over it. There's also a rhyme in reference 306. And it says, press the numbers, blah, 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 blah. And then in reference 108, you pull the numbers. So, I know, it's a bit, it's really not a problem. It's just something I thought was quite funny. So. Anyway, that's enough of those. Let's summarise this book and give it a score out of 10 before we do a shout out. So this book is known for its linear route. It's got a bit of a bad reputation amongst Gamebook fans, but there are a lot of good things about it. It is a tough book, but it's crammed full of stuff. It's a great adventure. It's a really epic journey. You get that real epic feel to it when you're travelling through it, probably because it is so linear. But why is it so tough? Well, the combats vary from sort of average strength encounters to impossibly difficult. Typical Ian Livingstone. And as with like a lot of Ian Livingstone's books, it is very linear, which you get used to that after a while. However, you can't miss the two essential items that you need, which are Razaak's sword and the Gargantis' horn. There is no fear of sort of getting to the end of the adventure and thinking, oh God, I haven't got such and such. You can't get through it without picking up those two essential items. There are a lot of other items that you can't miss that will help you, but the two that you really need to complete this book, you will pick them up on that path. So that's a good thing. There's nothing worse than getting at the end, getting all the way there, and then you haven't got the whatever to whack him over the head with. So yeah, you get to travel part of the way with two companions, which is a really nice feature. They're really useful as well. With Bori, you need to pay a lot of attention, close attention to what he says to pick up lots of important information. You think he's rambling, but he's not. He's giving you clues that you will need later on. But Sim, I felt, the hunter, he's a little bit less used and quickly forgotten, which is a shame. The one true path is offered several times at certain points in this book, rather than giving you the chance to sort of pick the correct route. So again, Sir Ian is giving you a chance to sort of get back onto that path. And it's your fault if you miss those little clues to which way to go. The book has a typically long shopping list of items you've got to find to win, and also information linked to those items is just as important. It kind of prevents cheating as well. You know, you get these items and you'll only know the number that's scratched on them if you've picked them up, and then you can only follow that to the relevant reference if you have them in the first place. So yeah, it's a good little anti-cheat mechanism. Another difficulty is with the number of numerical clues that are linked to these items. The final encounter with the necromancer Razaak involves you needing to know about 8 secret number prompts. And before this encounter, you must face a trial master and answer several questions, and that's where you use your number prompts. Any wrong answers, and it's instant death. Curtains. The amount of numerical cheat proofing in this book contributes to the kind of book's difficulty, along with the number of skill tests and luck tests that you need to survive. So really, if you start this book with a skill or luck lower than 12, then I honestly wouldn't bother. I know that's harsh, but you need to be skill 12. I mean, not only will it negate a lot of that skill testing, if you're skill 12, you're not going to roll less than skill 12, but the luck testing as well. You really need those high stats to get through this book. There is a moment early in the adventure where you roll a die, and after sort of defeating the Chameleonites, you have to roll this single die. You've got to get a 1 in order to obtain a essential ability. And it's if you fail that, then you need that 1 to get that Chameleonite blood that you bathe in. You need that to win the game, but to roll a die and get 1 and any other number means you can't finish the book is just a little bit unfair for me. But yeah, there's so many points where missing an item will sort of, or even a detail, like a detail from an item, will lead to failure. But this particular die roll, this getting a 1, I just felt was a little bit unnecessary so early in the game as well. But the final encounter with Razaak is crazy. He is skill 12, stamina 20, and he will kill you instantly if he wins 2 attack rounds in a row. So not only is he really tough and has a lot of stamina, if he wins 2 attack rounds, you're dead. Now, I understand he's intended to be strong, yeah, he's the final boss, but that's unbeatable. I'd be interested to know in the comments if you managed to kill him without cheating. I finished this book and I got so sick of reading it again and again and getting to the end to be beaten by him. Even if you have skill 12, stamina 24, are you likely to do it? Yeah. But it'd be interesting to hear if anybody did manage it. But yeah, I did cheat. It's the one time I'll be honest, I did cheat when I fought him because I couldn't kill him. He's tough. I know he's meant to be tough because he is the boss. But I just think, you got that Gigantus battle. That's also tough with the skills 12, stamina 24. He has 2 opening special attacks as well. But the actual combat can be avoided and still obtain that item, that essential item you need. So that's okay. That's not so bad. The book has huge structure. It has great scale. It's really well designed. The final encounter in Razaak's tomb is written to accommodate either with or without your 2 companions as well. So technically there are 2 parallel dungeons, dungeon treks written, but only one approach will obviously lead to victory. Now remember Mungo? Good old Mungo from Island of the Lizard King? Well, here we get a choice of what to do with our travelling companions rather than being at the mercy of this book. So whereas Mungo survived, 2 references before he either got beaten up by some pirates or eaten by a crab. But in this one, the characters, your companions that you're with, they have a much bigger involvement in the story and they're with you a lot longer. This book also has 2 non-victory endings where you succeed in killing Razaak, but you die in the attempt, which encourages further replay. Good lastability. It's never boring. It has lots of variety, it had good lastability. Crypt of the Sorcerer is a lot of fun to read. It's an epic journey. You get that balloon ride, which is great fun. There's lots of kind of fighting fantasy folklore as well in the plotline, which brings more life to the world of Allansia and kind of expands on that Titan world. As these books progress, more and more references are kind of giving you kind of geographical places, points of reference, and you get to sort of pick up on those later on in the books. You think, oh yeah, I remember that from such and such, and it kind of expands this world of Titan. So that's a nice touch. And as the journey, this adventure is tip-top, for a journey. It's really amazing. There's no doubt that it is hard. Is it the hardest? Yes. But Livingstone has avoided some of his sort of more annoying traits and replaced them with, I was going to say more annoying traits, but no, he's replaced them with more sort of complex story, cheat-proof adventure. So it's sort of going in a different direction. Yet cheating is almost essential to surviving the unbalanced nature of this book. which kind of leaves you to focus on mapping and finding the true path that yields all the clues, to get to the end. So yeah, it's really tough. Is it the toughest? I think so. But it is a really solid book. It's a great adventure. It's a shame because it is so much fun to play, but it's also a bit of a labour to play because of all the really extreme encounters, that final attack from Razaak. And I don't know if I mentioned, when you beat Razaak, there's 2 more instant deaths waiting for you immediately afterwards. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine rolling dice for 10 minutes and you finally do it without cheating? You beat Razaak, you didn't get 2 attack rounds in a row, and you beat him, and then there's 2 more instant deaths waiting for you before reference 400. Anyway, I'm going to give this book a 7 out of 10. It's really good. It's a strong entry. It's one of Ian's, I don't know, I would say it's one of Ian's better books, but it's just unfairly difficult, which is a bit of a shame. So yeah, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10 for this entry. So I'm going to give a shout out to a guy on YouTube. He's been on there since 2010, I think, so he's well established. He's got a really good site. He's Marco Omnigamer. He's a lot of fun. He sort of deals primarily with sort of board games, tabletop gaming, but he also reviews countless game books. He has hundreds of them. Obviously, all of these Fighting Fantasy books, but if you're interested in game books in general, check his site out because he does these reviews, all modern game books as well, all old school game books, every game book you can think of. He has, and he reviews them really well. He knows what he's talking about. He's brilliant. Marco Omnigamer. He's a laugh. He's funny. But yeah, check him out. He's worth, if you're interested, he's worth having a look at. Anyway, that's my review for Crypt of the Sorcerer by Ian Livingstone. The next book I'm going to do is going to be book 27, and that is... what is that? I have no idea. I should know, shouldn't I? That is Star Strider, which is Luke Sharp. So a new author, Luke Sharp, Star Strider. So I'm going to review that one next. I hope you liked this one. It's if you did like it, give it a thumbs up, maybe share it, but put some comments in. Let me know what your thoughts are on this one. Did you cheat? I bet you did. If you didn't, how on earth did you manage to do it and keep your sanity? But join me in the next review. Look after yourselves, and I will see you then.